has long speculated about the connection between the murder of Tupac Shakur and Christopher Biggie Wallace. Now grand jury documents show investigators support that theory as well. Retired homicide detective Clifford Maugg told the grand jury last month investigators from both Las Vegas and Los Angeles believe the same people were involved in both killings. Maugg said they all agreed the Biggie murder came in retaliation for the Tupac hit. The rappers were signed to rival record companies at the height of the East-West gang war. Maugg says detectives also agreed Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, who's currently in custody for the Tupac killing, did not play a role in the hit on Biggie. Los Angeles believe the same people were involved in both killings. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, who's currently in custody for the Tupac killing, did not play a role in the hit on Biggie.
That wasn't a hard hit. All you do is pull up just far too far from the other car. And people think that, well, Suge Knight didn't get killed. You're not firing directly. This is Cadillac pulling up. You pull up real close. We're talking about 6 inches away. But you pull up on an angle. You have to understand it's a slight angle. And you're shooting back. Suge Knight got hit with a piece of glass. He was not intended to talk. How you going to miss a 350 fat fuck like him?
Spent the last 3 weeks of his life on a one-note crusade. Suge, I want to see an accounting of my money. And that's basically where Tupac was at the time that he died.
What label, Death Row? Yeah. No. Let me say this. 2 weeks before we went to Vegas, Pac was on the phone, foaming at his mouth, veins busting out his neck, his head, threatened to blow up Death Row Studio. He was fussing about his music. He wanted his master.
I think that when someone says that they're taking their business, their potential millions and millions of dollars of profit away from a certain group of individuals, I think that those individuals might tend to think, well, if we do this, we'll still have all the masters and we'll still have 165, I think, unreleased at that time.
Tupac was done with death row. You know, he had fired Kenner, the lawyer. He was really on his way out.
A week before Tupac's death, he fired David Kenner, and people said publicly that's going to get him killed.
He had fulfilled his obligation, and that wasn't his plan to be there that long.
Because Suge had appointed Kenner to run Tupac's business. And that was when Suge had this accountant, Steve Cantrock, who was working with him to cook the books. Suge tried to hide the money he owed Tupac. His claim was, you know, I've paid that out to you and your family and hotel bills and meals, and that, you know, you've gotten that money, but the numbers don't add up.
Absolutely thought he was quite rich and that his family would be rich forever. I discovered he had next to zero, next to nothing. I discovered that the home that he had thought that he had just bought was not his.
Myself and Kevin Hackey, we were both on duty that day on a set. And it was in the evening time because it was already night. And I got this phone call from Yasmin Fula. And she said, hey, Frank, I'm coming down to a Gridlock. Don't you and Kevin leave because I need to talk to the two of you. She goes, hey. She goes, there's some things going on over at the death row office. Pac is called an audit on the death row office. Her main thing was that she wanted us to pay like a little bit more closer attention to Pac, watch him a little bit closer because she wasn't sure of the repercussions of this audit.
This is the recording contract Tupac signed in prison, committing Tupac to do 3 albums for Death Row Records. Tupac agreed to appoint as his lawyer the longtime lawyer for Suge Knight and Death Row, David Kenner, who says there's no conflict in what he did.
You just have to think about the consequences of coming in to have an agreement signed with a lawyer, and the lawyer walks out not only representing this side, but representing both sides. He asked over and over and over and over again for accountings of the things that he did, of the monies that came in and never got him. And when he screamed loud enough, someone would bring over a car and say, Tupac, here's a Rolls Royce.
The problem was he wasn't getting what he deserved. Pac would have to go ask for a bunch of royalties, Pac would say, "Where's my money?" And then they would always deliver a car. Found out later it wasn't even in his name. To buy him a house. Found out it wasn't in his name.
1995 Dannemora agreement gave either Death Row or Interscope the right to exploit the unreleased songs. Moreover, there was nothing in the contract between Death Row and Tupac which gave Death Row ownership of the tracks, either the compositions or the sound recordings. As such, both the sound recordings and the compositions belonged to the artist, Tupac, even though the physical master tapes were in the possession of Death Row.
Wherever you got to go to get the information, but don't let them know. What way do I do that? How do we own all that? You know what I mean?
To this day, the bankruptcy trustees are still finding Death Row masters, hidden by night in an attempt to conceal them from their rightful owner.
Wasn't feeling comfortable with what he was receiving, I guess, as far as his royalties or whatever, because every Friday, the runner from Death Row office would bring $5,000 in cash and give it to me to give to Tupac later on that day. And Pac would, every Friday, would tell me, "Frank, call the office and have Roy bring me, $5." And, $5 was $5,000. It was like Friday was his payday, but it was only $5,000 every time. Yeah, he was making millions of dollars, but $5,000 out of $1 million is not much. That's not even a fraction of a percent.
Suge, say, go on down this jewelry store and buy yourself some jewelry. Spend $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, buy his boys some shit. Found out later, they took this out his royalties. So he was actually spending his own money, as opposed to you giving me my money and letting me spend it the way I see fit.
Yeah,
it was never that. I think he had about $200,000 in his account when he died.
After being shot in a drive-by shooting, rapper Tupac Shakur has passed away in a Las Vegas hospital.
Is it Orlando?
Yes.
Let me just ask you point blank, did you kill Tupac Shakur?
I didn't kill Tupac. I don't know why, you know what I'm saying? They would even say something like that.
Anderson, an alleged Los Angeles gang member, has vigorously denied any involvement in the murder and, in depositions, claimed he was not at the scene.
Biggie was murdered on March the 9th, 1997, 6 months after Tupac. He was leaving the Vibe party at the Peterson Motor Museum in Los Angeles. It was a well-orchestrated hit.
I will say also that I think the same people who killed my son killed Biggie. Done in the same way, same style.
Key figures in the murders of Biggie and Tupac are, of course, their labels, headed by Sean Combs, which is Bad Boy, Biggie's label, and Suge Knight, which is Death Row, Tupac's label. If you look at it like a pyramid, and you had Bad Boy Records with Sean Combs and Death Row Records with Suge Knight, and beneath them was their rappers, Biggie and Tupac, and then beneath them was their entourages or gang associates, which were the Crips and the Bloods. The link between the two cases was this history of violence that had been taking place between members of Bad Boy Records and their Trip entourage, and then the members of Death Row Records and their Blood entourage. So there had been conflicts brewing for almost 2 years, with confrontations and a war of words and just disrespecting, and you go back and piece all of those little elements together and you can see how it fueled the fire, which led up to the shootings of both Tupac and Biggie.
The simple fact that people still didn't know that the East Coast, West Coast was engineered by him and Suge, they did a great job acting that whole thing out. But it was all to sell records. It was a marketing scheme. And then when they start, when people started losing control of the stars, next thing you know, people started disappearing. Now, a bunch of people have gotten on my page and asked me, do I know who killed Biggie and Tupac? What I will say about that is this. Allegedly, everybody knows. Nobody's going to say anything. He's probably one of the only people in this industry that has more secrets than me.
Really?
Yeah. All those cover-ups, all of those stories. The art of misdirection is a skill that most record executives use. So considering that the public has absolutely no idea what's happening behind the curtain or behind the velvet rope, It gives them a great advantage to paint whatever story they want to paint.
Kill this whole new vibe everybody want to be on about it being a war between the East Coast and the West Coast.
Right.
It's really just a problem with two rappers, and
Right.
everybody want to make it a bigger thing than it is.
Everybody wants to get involved in everyone else's problem.
Exactly. You know how nosy
Drama with a
people is.
comma.
So we got it going on. I got my man Buckshot. You know what I mean? I got Smith and Wesson in here.
Brooklyn.
I got Greg Nice, the whole boot camp clique representing. Boot camp and Outlaws, we all just gonna team up and just do this right. With Greg Nice, a lot of other people.
Squash all that drama.
Squash the drama. Let's get back to making some money. That's what it's all
That's
about.
what it's all
making
about.
money, putting out
That's what I'm
music.
trying to do. I don't got any problems with anybody.
I've been watching
Oh,
you.
you like it?
Good.
Thanks,
doing
man.
Good. You
I like
doing
your stuff
pretty
too,
good.
man. You and
Yeah.
Snoop are the homies, aren't you?
Yeah, we homies.
All right.
That's all that
Hey,
is. All righty then.
How did Tupac catch all that heat and Suge only got nicked? And he's 4 times bigger than this nigga. He's a much bigger target. Tupac could have dodged them bullets. It's not adding up.
I'm offering Reggie right now $100K to take a polygraph. That he had no involvement whatsoever to do with Tupac's killing.
Hackey, according to these court filings, worked for 2 years as an undercover agent for the FBI and ATF, helping the feds.
To investigate Marion Knight and Death Row Records for racketeering violations.
And Hackey, a former Compton School District police officer who worked off-duty hours as a Tupac bodyguard, now reveals to Fox 11 News an interesting series of events. He says, here at the House of Blues in 1996, an off-duty Santa Monica cop working security confiscated a .40 caliber Glock handgun similar to this from a member of Tupac Shakur's entourage.
About 2 weeks after that, I was contacted by Reggie to go over to Santa Monica Police Department to pick up this firearm.
Hackey says he first showed the handgun to his FBI handlers and then turned it over to Reggie Wright Jr. A month later in Las Vegas, investigators say it was a .40 Glock handgun that killed Tupac Shakur. Hackey believes the murder weapon was the same gun he gave Reggie Wright Jr.
I believe it is.
And Hackey says 6 months after Tupac's murder, he had another conversation with Reggie Jr. about the missing handgun. It didn't go well.
Reggie told me, hey, it ain't given time. I have the money, I have the people, I can have you killed, it ain't given time.
Orlando Anderson is absolutely, positively the murderer of Tupac Shakur.
So you believe Tupac and Biggie murder was in-house?
I believe Biggie and Tupac was in-house. All had something to do with death row people.
That's a very strong comment to make, man.
Listen, it came from their own mouth. DJ Quick. I think they got one of them bad boy niggas. They said they was gonna get him. Who was they? Had to be Death Row.
With Tupac, the public is naive to a lot of stuff. There was a plan already to do something to him. You go back and watch the film, they was already stalking Pac, like watching him. So that just tipped the iceberg when something happened. And that's why, like I said, I had 2 of the toughest guys for him, and Reggie pulled them off of me. It didn't have to happen. I told him to send 5 guys from the club to there, and they never said nobody.
Yeah.
And Frank blocked us in, purposely. Later he told us, they told him to do it,
Yeah.
Hey, Frank got so bad he died,
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. And Michael Moore.
Yeah. And then Perez and them was all involved. They were trying to kill me too, but see, because Perez and Reg was good friends, and Perez and Sarita and Reg is great friends, and so all those 3 together was trying to plot,
Yeah. Exactly.
Orlando wasn't even the shooter,
Orlando Anderson is absolutely, positively the murderer of Tupac Shakur.
Then Gaddafi came up to me and Gaddafi said, "Low." I said, "What happened?" Gaddafi said, "Low, it was a white Cadillac." And he said, "Man, it was a light-skinned dude, looked something like you. Low stuck his hand out the window, started busting." There's no way that I'm going to have a convoy of cars and somebody's going to ride up to my principal and kill them. There's no way, unless it's in-house.
Front, Pac, and Suge, and everybody is following me now.
After the beating, there seems to be a divergence of stories. On one hand, some people say that Orlando Anderson left the MGM to go on and do other things. But witness Corey Edwards actually said that Orlando Anderson stayed at the bar. Corey Edwards was there with friends, as was Orlando Anderson. And if Orlando Anderson was in fact at that bar, according to Corey Edwards, you don't think the Las Vegas Police Department would have checked the closed-circuit cameras at the MGM to find out whether that was true? Well, Russell Poole said they did.
Orlando Anderson is absolutely, positively the murderer of Tupac Shakur.
Keefe D is now claiming that Diddy asked him to take out Tupac and record label boss Suge Knight. Diddy has dismissed claims he was involved in Tupac's death as nonsense. Keefe told detectives that Diddy called a gangster associate of theirs called Eric Von Zip shortly after Tupac's shooting to ask if they were responsible.
And I guess you said that Puffy called and said, was that us? And you didn't say nothing.
I didn't say nothing. Yeah, you're right. Puffy called me back in the day. He called me. He was like, I just want you to know I ain't have nothing to do with your brothers. You know, I know who you are, but we never met. And I just want to call you man to man, let you know that I ain't have nothing to do with your brother's death. It was in the early 2000s. LA Times had just dropped an article in the newspaper implicating him as well. I told him I appreciate the call, but the truth is yet to come out, so we gonna see.
Go check out Tupac cover up. And everybody that check that shit out, go to Vlad. Vlad, you've been hiding these people. You've been supporting these people that has gotten away with killing Pac and Big. Suge Knight said you solve one, you'll solve both. And the person that's in both of those equations is Reggie. He knows he's helping Caden, he's helping Reggie, he's helping them niggas with them lies about Pac and Big's case. He know he's helping them because there are people, FBI agents, other detectives and FBI agents who are pointing the blame on Reggie and Katie.
You step back and look at the board. It's clear Pac was dealing with a masterclass in financial manipulation. Think about it. You're the biggest superstar on the planet, selling millions of records, and they've got you on a $5,000 a week allowance. That's not business. That's keeping a grown man on a leash. Pac had a whole team to feed, his family to support, and the outlaws looking to him for their future. He was carrying the entire weight of death row on his back, yet he had to ask permission just to breathe financially. And Pac wasn't blind to it. You can hear the frustration boiling over in his music. He literally laid it down on the track. Somebody better explain why I ain't got shit. That wasn't just a bar. That was a real-time cry for accountability. He was waking up to the reality that the loyalty he was giving wasn't being returned in the ledger books. That's exactly why the rumors of him starting Death Row East and Machiavelli Records were so dangerous to the powers that be. Pac was planning his exit, and a free Pac with his own masters was a threat to a lot of people's pockets. Which brings us to Knight. Now, Knight is a controversial figure, to say the least, and his role in how everything went down will always be under a microscope. But you have to look at the facts. Knight has dropped names. He's gone on record saying the hit in Vegas wasn't just for Pac, that they were trying to take him out too. And what did the feds do? They acted like they had wax in their ears. When the government and law enforcement choose to ignore direct leads and naming names in a high-profile assassination, it tells you everything you need to know. This wasn't just a simple street beef. This was a complex, multi-layered web of manipulation. You had street politics, corporate greed, and federal agendas all colliding at the exact same time. People on the ground thought they were playing their own hands for their own personal motives, but in reality, they were just pawns in a much bigger, much darker play. And we are just scratching the surface. That is going to wrap up part one of this deep dive. We are pulling back the curtain on this history, and trust me, part two is about to get even crazier as we look at the fallout and the moves made in the shadows. I want to give a massive shout out to all the supporters tapped in with the channel. Your energy, your comments, and your support keep this platform moving and keeping it real. If you're riding with the movement, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. How do you see these layers of manipulation playing out? Thank you for staying tuned in with me. Stay locked in because part 2 is dropping sooner than you think. Peace.